All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Thursday, November 5th. And another really strong day for the averages. That's every day this week. Today's Thursday. We've had this really nice price action now several days of the week. It's been impressive, to say the least. And we'll go through some of these numbers for the day. We'll try to keep this a little bit of a shorter video because I think we've been giving a little bit longer videos this week. This is actually the wrong theme. That's from yesterday. So I would just say market, I would say continuation. And so let's talk about this really quick. So SPY finished up close to 2% for the day. The Qs finished up 2.6% for the day. The Diamonds up 1.9%. And today's the real outperformer and what rallied during the session was small caps. One of the things that I keep coming back to, and there was a nice tweet out by Michael Santoli of CNBC, which I think his analysis that he puts out, I think, is really good. And he was just talking about how, he was showing the moves over the last few days. And a lot of this is coming in the after hours market. So it's kind of been the usual drill, right? I go over this as much as possible. And if you're a regular viewer of my videos, I talk about this concept all the time. But what's really worked for the most part is putting on some trades at the end of the day and then, taking them off into the morning gap. Now, that, of course, doesn't always work. It's worked probably just about every day this week. And over time, it does work, but, you're going to find some days where that phenomenon doesn't work. But again, over time, that's the trade, right? Is that the majority of the moves are made in the after hours market. And a lot of names, of course, my plan has been just about every day this week to kind of do just that. I haven't really had outsized positions, but the positions that I have put on have worked pretty well. And I've been selling on the open, and then I look for some day trades during the day. A couple of them worked. A couple of them where I traded stock, it was kind of like no problem because they didn't move. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. But we'll go over the sector performance too really quick here. What a move back here in these solar names. So let's start with, why don't we start with that? I talked about solar, how you got a dip in it in yesterday's video. Look at the move on. It's amazing how fast stuff is moving this week. It's up 11.4%. Some people are like having a field day right now. Like if you went long a couple solar stocks yesterday into that dip at the 50-day moving average, you really got rewarded. Fabulous, right? From that move. Also, the PBW ETF, right, which is clean energy. You saw, a lot of moves in that space too. This is up 9.6% today. Talk about momentum. Really, I think that's the biggest day so far. That this thing, if you look at all the prior candles for clean energy stocks, it's huge, the moves that are taking place this week. So, so that's the market just has a lot of momentum to it. I don't make small term, short-term predictions. Do I think we're into some resistance here after, turnaround day back here and then 4 straight green days, in S&P futures? Yeah, I think this is a monster move already. So we'll kind of see how it goes from here. Interesting when you look at the SPY candles, right? I try to just focus on this a lot, but the SPY candles, you're like, oh, well, these are gaps and these are tough. You have to remember, like day trading versus swing trading. I just think there's a lot more money to be made swing trading, and that's my bread and butter versus day trading. Listen, I try to do both, but the range is just so much bigger. And again, if you look at the size of the candles, right, you're going to see these gappy candles for SPY, but not so much. If you're holding through the overnight sessions, look at the difference in the range of the candles in the S&P futures versus SPY. All right, so again, it's a phenomenon over time that works out. right? And again, of course, the best thing, over time, and I hate to say this because the market doesn't go straight up. We know these things, but if you're managing to not only day trade and swing trade, hold through the overnight session, the overall best move to do is to get all the performance by holding as long as you can through these swings, right? So that's that. We talked about solar stocks, so I'll show you a couple things here with names that are reporting after hours. What a difference! Thursday and Friday, it didn't matter what the numbers were. Some of these names were just getting crushed on earnings. Zillow comes out; they're up to 115. I own this name in the TTG portfolio. TTD is up. The trade desk is up big. Hubs is whoops, I got the wrong. This name's up big. Square, which I own this in multiple places, right? And that's I run, of course. If you're not a regular viewer of this video or you're not a member, I have 3 different accounts that I kind of manage. My trading account, the TTG trend portfolio, which is this. I'm okay showing this, but this is the last changes that we made in this. I added EEM. I actually added the regional bank ETF. I added SAM, but previous to that, I added things like so we've got a net in here as well, right, which is also up to $63. So like I said, I've got Zillow in here. This is over 30. I think there's 34 names in here now, but it's working pretty decently, and it's diverse, right? I've got XLI in there too, which there was a decent size call, trade that one up there. I put SE in here a couple weeks ago. Oh, this SE is unbelievable. All right, C Limited made a new 52-week high today. Again, comes into the 50-day moving average. From my opinion, is keep doing this trade until it stops working. But it was bunched up for the better part of a month. It was kind of bunched up. Really, kind of hindsight, by the way. Looking at some of the month of October, these things, sometimes you just have to kind of be patient and stay in trades. Easier said than done. I had a tough time at the end of October with some trades. I didn't hold through some of the volatility at the end of the month. And if you did, you got rewarded, right? Or even if you added into that weakness last week, right? So again, I certainly didn't play last week perfect. I got very frustrated towards the end of the week. But that's what this market will do to you sometimes, right? It'll make you wait and wait and wait before a big move comes, right? And it's impressive, right? So to talk about today's trades, which I always talk about in these videos, again, you have to not only talk the talk, but you got to be able to walk the walk. So here's a target. By the way, I'm almost out. Again, I own this one in 2 accounts. I know in my trading account, and I don't make any major adjustments in that trend portfolio that I just showed you. DKNG, I sold these a little bit early. This is the first day trade I took for the day. Although I don't think the options moved that much. Maybe I went a little bit too far out of the money, but I dumped this thing somewhere in here. Yeah. So that was kind of stupid of me. Billy, good thing I hit a target in that one because the Chinese internet names actually sold off. Some of them, not all of them, but they kind of ran out of steam today. The Chinese internet ETF finished positive for the day, but again, it sold off through the session. Right. So again, taking targets in some of your in your trading account. Right. It's important to do that, in my opinion. That's what I do anyway. So Tesla. So interesting. So I mentioned some names got going in the beginning of the day, and then kind of the afternoon was a little bit slow, except if you were in the China electronic vehicle stocks. I think NIO, XPEV, and LI took off again today. But those, I think, were a little bit of the outliers. I think the majority of stocks that I saw, once we kind of got past the 10 o'clock hour, were pretty went pretty sideways. But Tesla, this was a nice day trade. And then what I did with Tesla, like once I got out of this, right, for 730, paid 465, I still wanted to be in Tesla, for a trade, right, just for a day trade. And you could see, like, after this was the high point at 10 o'clock, I caught that, and I said, okay, let me go into stock for continuation, because stock is not going to be as volatile, right? The options are going to be super volatile, right? So, this was, what time did it make that high? Around 10 o'clock, right? And I took this exit right at 10 o'clock, and I said, okay, let's see if it can continue to go. And I bought, a lesser amount of stock, and I ended up dumping that, But if it was an option play, right, 435 for 437, I would have lost more money on that because of the decay in the options, right? If you're in short-term options, or if you're trading short-term options, because I was in weeklies, I was in for a quick move and then out. Netflix worked for me too today. It took a little bit, and I think Netflix may have. I got a little bit of money out of it, and then that's it. I think this will be an interesting one to watch, because it is now trying to fill the earnings gap, right? And I think I did actually roll this into a call spread, because I'm looking at this Virgin point of control up here to target, which is right around 543. The trade that I did in Netflix, rolling profits, was the next week's 522, 532 and a half call spread. So we'll see how that one plays out. Played a little bit of CGC, but this is a small trade. I gave a shot at Stamp for earnings. I even though they had great numbers, or I believe good numbers, take a look at the VPOCs that got taken out here. 1, 2 on the hourly. Also the 5-minute, there's a bunch of these Virgin point of controls. So notice how it bounces around those things. There's one up here, and I think there's a couple down here that got taken out. Yep, there you go. All right, a whole bunch of things, from prior. Again, Virgin point of control, an area of high volume that price has not revisited. It's a point of control that has not been revisited. All right, and that was it. So like I said, there's some other things on the tape that were kind of interesting. Datadog reports earnings next week. I saw, again, I'm really being picky and choosy, considering now we've been up 4 straight days. It's really tough to kind of add any new trades in here. But we don't have a crystal ball, and I like this trade that went up in Datadog, right? It's a name that I've traded a few times. Interesting. I also saw some CrowdStrike positioning. These are March, right? And I think this did trade over the open interest. I'll check open interest tomorrow on this trade. That's November, by the way. But yeah, what caught my eye is when they go out to March, right? They're positioning, right, instead of like this weekly crap. And then Crowd was another one, right, where it looks like they're going out to June. June 175 calls in Crowd. Right, kind of interesting too. A little bit further out in Crowd. By the way, this Fitch is unbelievable. Congrats if you're in this name. I mean, look at this move from $28 to 37, and then they announced, there was a clean call buyer earlier in this thing, and I looked at the chart and I'm like, I can't do it. This was this trade that went up. Yeah, right before like 1 o'clock. Opening trade in this. No open interest, $150,000 trade, short-term trade. Well, they got rewarded with this thing. Where's this thing trading after hours? More news about them partnering with, I think it's Alibaba, which was out right earlier in the week. But I guess there's more details on it, right? Right? I think that's what it was, unless I'm getting my facts confused. But in any event, let's move on. So yeah, I mean, again, another good trading day, and the other lesson I think from that I was kind of thinking about today for traders, right? When I get some newer traders in the trading room, a question that I frequently get is, hey, how much money can I make a day? Right, trading. Like, can I make this amount, a day and make that every single day? The answer to that is no. Normally what happens in trading is it comes in bunches, right? So sometimes, it's you trade what's in front of you, right? You can't synthetically make money, you know, just by thinking that you're going to get the same type of market every day. The market is different every single day. Sometimes, and what we went through in that time frame of September and October, there was weeks where it was difficult. You just kind of had to try to just make it through that time, and not try to think that you're going to make the same amount of money every day. It's really what the market is going to give you. The other thing I would say, right, I think so many people are so focused on this election, right? Over time that it doesn't really matter what party sits at who's in the executive branch, right? Over time, it really doesn't make that much difference. One of the things that I think is interesting that nobody's talking about right now is we know that September and October are the weakest seasonal months of the year. What are we into now? We're in November, and do you think it's by accident that we're doing, like, the market has done so much better? The seasonality is all better, right? You could look at that in terms of on the Traders Almanac site, but it's different once you get into November, December. Those are better months, in terms of trading. So keep these things in the back of your mind that this is how trading works. It comes in bunches. And then when the opportunities are less and the price action is not as good, you have to make those adjustments, right, to make sure that you're not, pressing at the wrong time. All right, guys, we'll leave it there for the night. Have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow.